Welcome to Animates, a retro anime review comedy podcast. Join our resident anime nerd Mackenzie and anime noob Lindsey as they delve into their VHS vault and review the best and worst of what the 80s and 90s had to offer. These episodes contain spoilers and adult language, so stick around if you're cool like that. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Animates, your weekly 80s and 90s anime rewind. I'm your host, Mackenzie.
And I'm your other host, Lindsey.
All right, Lindsey, if there's one thing I know about you...
Oh no, what do you know about me? You know a lot about me.
I do know a lot about you, but if there's one thing I know about you, is that you love anime about junior high school girls that's filled to the brim with fan service, creepy old men, and a touch of that classic 80s misogyny.
How dare you? No, we literally...
You look so unimpressed. Did I read the room wrong?
Oh my gosh. It's so funny because I was like, I have a Pinterest board of things that I would like to watch. And yeah, none of them are anything like that.
Well, thankfully, I had a backup series ready just in case.
Oh my gosh.
And in this series, you will find no fan service. Maybe like a single light on fabric, silky, flowy dress, backed by some ambient holy light. But that just kind of comes with the territory. If you had to guess the genre of this week's series, what do you think it would be?
Hentai.
No.
From you? Oh gosh. I want to say some sort of like adventure kind of deal, like quests. I don't know. I feel like there might be quests or adventures or things like that.
Okay.
Am I close?
I'll let you know soon if you're close. Now,
okay.
Do you remember when we dated and nerd shit wasn't really your thing?
Yes. I
remember a specific time you came over to my house after work and proceeded to assault an entire table of Magic the Gathering players.
No. And I remember I was doing my chirping and normally just you responded, but it was like a whole table just being like, hey!
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember that.
That was good times, but we're not going to be watching an anime about playing tabletop card games.
Okay. Are we watching Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, we are not watching Yu-Gi-Oh. What we are watching... Actually, you know what? Hold on.
Oh, no.
I want to add a bit more context before I get into this.
Okay.
Do you remember how you used to say you'd never play Dungeons & Dragons and it was like a hard pass, fuck that nerd shit thing for you?
Yeah.
And now you love Critical Role and you play in a Dungeons & Dragons game?
I was going to say I have my next session on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, look, that's what we call character development.
Growth? Okay.
Yeah. And it's something that I hope will allow you to enjoy this week's series.
Oh, no.
Record of Lodoss War.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Now,
so it's historical?
Not exactly.
Oh, no. Is it futuristic?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
This was created by Ryu Mizuno in 1986 as a replay series in a magazine called Comptique. Now, a replay series is essentially a transcript of a D&D game rewritten to be consumable by fans of fantasy novels. Kind of like reading a novel about Critical Role.
I was going to say, is it like Vox Machina?
Kind of, yeah, in the sense of like a written version of it.
Okay.
The Dungeon Master began to compile their light writings into a small novel, and it ended up becoming so popular that they actually had to drop the Dungeons & Dragons rule set.
Oh,
because the actual play series it was based on a Dungeons & Dragons rule set in the world that was created by the Dungeon Master. But when these light novels all of a sudden became a trilogy, copyright issues got in the way and they couldn't do that anymore. So they came up with their own D&D rule style system called Record of Lodoss War Companion, which released in 1988, just a couple years later. After that, the replay series was then published as a paperback in full trilogy form. Now, this series went on to spawn dozens of things: novels, manga, RPG rulebooks, soundtracks, and video games, which includes one of my favorite games from 2021, which was Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth, which you obviously have never played.
Not at all, but I love the name.
It's great. But we're not here to talk about any of that part of the media franchise. We are here to talk about the anime, which launched as a 13-episode OVA in 1990, produced by Madhouse Studios, which has produced a lot of stuff that I'm a big fan of, including a recent series called Freerun, which is another fantasy-styled series. which I think everyone should absolutely check out. Beloved by those who love Dungeons and Dragons, and some call it a faithful retelling of their favorite Dungeons and Dragons home game, but without like the murder hobos and the over the top, like, dumb shit. It's like a calm down version of the Legend of Vox Machina cartoon.
Okay.
A little more
murder
classic
hobos?
fantasy.
Where?
You don't know that term?
No.
Oh, it's a D&D term where your party just ends up being the absolute fucking worst and just go around murdering everybody.
Oh man,
How the game that I ran would cut the dicks off of everyone they met and kept them in a bag.
Oh my gosh. I clearly have not played enough Dungeons and Dragons.
No, murder hobo games are fun if that's what you're looking for. Not my thing.
All right, fine. I mean, my character pickpocketed someone in a monastery, so we're getting there.
Knowing all of what I just told you, do you have any predictions about this series before I give you a plot breakdown?
I'm going to predict that the women will wear less clothes than the men.
Okay, what else?
Okay, so you said, what was the year again? 87?
Technically originated from 86, but the anime came out, I believe, in like in 88, 89.
Okay, so late 80s. Oh gosh, I want to say they are looking for some sort of magical artifact, maybe? Or maybe like someone's looking for their dad, and maybe this is like a adventure to reconnect family members. Or
you're not close.
Damn it. Okay, it's a search to make the best pancake possible. It is trying to find a pogo stick that moans when you jump on it. Or it's to visit Santa Claus and deliver their letter. Am I close now?
What's funny is that there's actually a series under Lodoss War that is actually a parody of the show that probably has stuff like that happen in it. But you are wrong. This is much darker.
Oh, well, okay, I'm here for it.
This is much more serious fantasy. This is not a comedy.
Oh, okay, cool.
The series follows Parn, a young fighter in training, the son of a...
what is his name?
Parn.
So like porn, but with an A.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, Parn.
Yeah, he is the son of a disgraced and dead knight.
Oh.
We follow him and his best friend Edo, a wizard named Slain, and his newfound member Gim.
Slain is a pretty metal name. Slain.
He is the least metal dude in the show.
No. Why give him the name Slain then?
I don't know. I thought Slain would be better for Gim.
Yeah, Gim. I thought you were going to say Gimp. And I was like, this is an interesting band of characters.
No, that is not it. But yeah, they're also joined by the High Elf Deedlit, which was one of my big elf crush girls.
Ooh, do you have a thing for elves?
I mean, fuck yeah.
I mean, Legolas.
Not what I meant at all, but not a. I'm looking for more of a Lego lass.
Oh man, I love that it was like elves. I was like, yeah, Legolas, he's an elf. Yeah.
No, you'll find out what kind of elves these are. We follow them as they travel the cursed island continent of Lodoss, caught in the middle of a war where they must fight dragons, dark elves, black knights, and other creatures of the realm to stop the destruction of Lodoss and stop the big bad from reviving a long dormant ancient evil deity.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
It is one of my favorite series because it feels like a classic D&D campaign. The animation is the type of animation I love in my anime. It's rough. It's not perfect, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It is that classic style. However, we're not going to be watching it normal. You will be skipping episode 1.
Oh, okay. Who needs exposition and character introduction?
There's a reason for this, though.
Okay.
Episode 1 is timed to actually be around episode 7.
Oh, okay.
This was used to lure people into the series because it's kind of hard to get people into an anime that has a slow burn, like a lot of D&D campaigns tend to have at the start.
Okay.
Meeting the party, blah, blah, blah. So they kind of kicked it off with like this like random episode of middle of the series to get people interested. And then they jump back to episode 1 being episode 2. Now, if you want to watch episode 1 as well, be my guest.
Okay.
It's a good episode. It's a lot of good deedlit action in that one. You'll be watching episodes 2, 3, and 4.
Okay. Copy.
Perfect. Now, I'm excited to get your opinion on a couple things, specifically, obviously, my number one elf, Crush Deedlit. Also, the super hot dark elf, Pyrotess.
Ooh, that's a great name. Pyrotess.
Pyrotess is a babe.
Okay.
Like, in the ultimate sense of babes, Pyrotess is a babe. And I think you'll agree.
What would you say is the TV rating of this show?
The TV rating of this show is 17 plus, violence and profanity.
Oh, okay. But not nudity. Interesting.
There's not,
Okay.
It's not a fan service show. It is classic fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons brought to the screen. There's probably a couple hot boys here for you too that I think you'll like.
You said no fan service, classical D&D, high fantasy. Like they're like Percy doesn't have 3 penises in season 2 of Vox Machina.
I already made it clear it's more tame than Vox Machina. Now, there's a couple voices that aren't so great in this one, but I'm sure you'll figure all of that out.
So ready. I love a terrible voiceover.
There's probably going to be some hot boys that you'll like as well.
Okay.
I'm thinking one of the big bads you'll probably think is a
you said big bad, and I was like, I'll probably find him hot.
He kind of gives off vampy vibes.
Oh, yes, I'm here for it.
You are going to watch these episodes. You're going to give your review, and we can talk a little bit more in detail about the series. So we will see y'all shortly. All right, we have returned from the island of Lodoss, and Lindsey has watched 3 episodes of our series this week. Hit me with your first thoughts.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. Like, I can definitely see the influence that this series had on things that I like these days, if that makes sense. Like, I can see the influences that this had on this generation of, like, creators and storytellers and stuff like that. So I thought it was really interesting. And, like, the art's really beautiful. And I don't know if it's because we watched, like, a remastered version, but it felt more colorful and, like, richer in tone. I mean, that's probably just a remastered thing, but it was really cool. I feel like if we were to watch more of it, I could see the adventure or whatever is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. I thought it was a good series. I understand why you loved it. It's very much up your alley.
Yeah, you can really feel the D&D campaign aspects that are in its writing and the way that things happen. It's clearly, oh, that was a bad roll, or oh, this was a good roll. It wasn't written this way. It's just kind of what happened when people were playing this game.
Yep, someone failed their persuasion check or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And this series was actually the inspiration for Dark Elves in Japan.
Oh, cool.
And were primarily one of, like, the moving forces for fantasy until Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings came out.
Oh, wow. And so that would have been like 15 years later.
Something like that, yeah. I'm glad that you have liked it. I was a little nervous.
I didn't curse you while watching it.
You didn't curse me. That's good.
Yeah.
Although I do have to apologize because I hyped up Pyrotess and how much of a babe Pyrotess was. But then I forgot that we don't see Pyrotess in the episodes that you watched.
Well, I was watching it and I was like, did I miss her? Like, do I have to go back? Where the hell is she? And I, like, looked up, like, character headshots. I was like, I don't remember this hooker at all. So I'm glad
Did you just call her a hooker? I mean, look, you would have known if you had seen her.
Because there was the one girl that I thought was her when I was first watching it. Carla,
yeah, the witch.
Yeah, I thought that was Pyrotess when I first was watching it. Because I was like, ooh, she's hot.
Carla's hot too. Carla is absolutely hot. But Pyrotess is a babe.
Whoa. Look at that side boob. That is impressive.
I'm currently showing Lindsey some photos of Pyrotess here. She is.
I love a neckline that goes down to your belly button. This is a power outfit.
This is a power outfit.
I'm not saying that to be powerful. You have to show your boobs, but it's a dramatic look.
It's
that not everybody can pull off.
It's like a mocha colored skin.
She looks like the color of, like, actual clay.
She wears this stunning white outfit that really contrasts with the color of her skin, and the bright white of her hair pairs with it nicely. Mm-hmm. She's just a total fucking babe who will kill you if you look at her the wrong way.
I also like that it's still all, like, it's a dramatic color palette, but it's still all these, like, earthy natural tones. I think that's really cool.
She doesn't rely on bright coloring. The only coloring she has is, like, one jewel around her neck, and the rest is just gold, white, and her like dark clayish skin tone.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I'm sorry you didn't get to see her in action in the series. If you ever watch more of it, you will.
Yeah, it's like, I guess I will.
Yeah, you touched on the animation quality, and I had mentioned this previously, how it's a type that I really love. It's that more rough, rustic animation. Like the line thickness varies, sometimes the quality varies, but that's kind of a case of the 80s, though Madhouse Studios has produced a lot higher overall quality and during the time, but I still think this is a stunning piece of animation.
Oh, absolutely.
There are a few moments where like instead of animating something, they just kind of like fade things along for motion,
Yeah. Yeah, I
specifically the
noticed that.
goblins when they're marching.
Yep.
But you'll notice that any character that is attractive is way better animated than most. Like Deedlit, she is always better animated than all the other characters.
Including the
Carla,
elves? Like,
including
that's not just like
some
a
of the
race
elves,
thing?
yeah.
Wow.
No, because like the first dark elf we see is like he's fine animated, but she's always
Yeah.
extra detailed.
They were like, we
Same
wanna
with
just
Carla the
always draw
Witch.
Deedlit.
Well, there's this moment where in the last episode you had watched where, or Carla, not sorry, the last, but the second episode where she like is introduced and she's standing in the darkness and she kind of like lowers her head or raises her head a little bit, and this like shine moves up her earring and kind of like gleams really quickly.
Mhm.
And there's not a lot of that details put out there, but when it comes to the attractive people in the show, they get these extra little details, which is very funny to me because there's like a couple screenshots of like Parn and he looks like a just like a low poly character every now and again.
They use their
Um,
left hand to draw him.
Yeah, but overall, the art's amazing. Like you said, the backgrounds
Oh, yeah.
are stunning. The
Holy
painting
moly,
is
they're
amazing.
gorgeous. Big fan.
I want to know what you think of the intro.
I watched it once and then skipped it the rest of the times.
I thought it
It's
would be
very
your thing.
No, it's very
It's like
beautiful
a Phantom
and
of the
like
Opera style song.
I know, but I'm not a musical kid. No, I appreciate it in terms of like setting up backstory and lore. And I thought it was very like 80s Dungeons and Dragons. But yeah, I was like, okay, enough. I don't need to listen to a minute and a half of this. I want to just like
You don't want
get
that
to the next
lady
thing.
singing like she's on stage.
No. It's not Ranma one half.
The prologue music is good though. There's no audio in that. It's like very battle epic friendly.
Because it's
Which is
just them
cool.
being like, in the beginning, there was
Yeah.
the creation and blah blah blah. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, overall though, the music in the episodes is great.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah,
much attention you
very
had
well done.
paid.
Not a lot. I'm not a sound
Fine.
kid. Fine.
Well, then for the viewer's point of view, then I will give my own review of this, where the battle theme in the OST is the perfect intense battle music. Deedlit's theme is this perfect, hauntingly beautiful, just ambient track. Parn's theme is exactly what you'd think it was. Like the adventure begins, kind of derpy, kind of happy, because he's
Yep.
kind of derpy and kind of happy. If you have a chance, go onto YouTube and search the Record of Lodoss War OST, especially if you're
Okay.
a dungeon master, because there's some good shit in there.
I was to say, is this a regular that you play when you're playing D&D?
There's a couple songs from it I do use, specifically the battle theme, because it's so fucking perfect. If you
You're like, it just gets you ready to fight. An imaginary fight.
Yes, exactly. And if you're not hyped up for your imaginary fights, you're gonna lose your imaginary fights.
Yeah, that is 100% fair.
Now, before we get into the episodes here, well, you watched episodes 2, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
We skipped the first because it's technically like episode 7. So anyone watching the series watching along, start at episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2 is where you're gonna get like exposition in the party meeting. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it makes sense, and it's funny because I'm glad you said that we were starting with episode 2 because I would have started with episode 1 and just been like, huh? What is going on? Who are these people? Why do I care about them? And then if I was to go to a second episode, I would be like, why? Why are we doing this now? Shouldn't we have done this last episode?
Well, the first time that I watched Record of Lodoss War, I watched episode 1, and then all of a sudden episode 2 was in the past, and I was like, I've lost interest. And it took like 6 more months before someone I knew was like, have you watched Record of Lodoss War? And I was like, yeah, but the timelines are super messed up. And they were like,
Yeah, it's
"Oh, just
confusing.
don't start on episode 1. I was like, oh,
Where else am I supposed to
okay.
start though?
Yeah, like, okay, sure. And so, yeah, you start on episode 2, and then it makes a lot more sense because it actually follows a timeline.
So do you watch it like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1?
No, because it just continues as if that episode hadn't happened, but it's part of the canon. I don't know.
Weird.
I didn't write this show, okay?
Someone made a poor choice.
Well, no, it's a smart choice for Japan because it gets people excited about fantasy by throwing them into the action right away.
Okay.
Poor choice for American audiences who are picky little shits. Not to say Japan isn't picky about their media, but you know what I mean when it comes to fantasy. Fantasy was fairly new there for high fantasy, while here it was a bit more of a thing.
It was established.
Yeah, but let's have you take us into episode 1.
Oh my gosh, you mean episode 2?
Okay,
Which
sorry.
is called
The first episode
Blazing
you
Departure?
Ooh.
Ooh, we're gonna get confused with that. Yeah, no, it was super
Okay.
cool. Like I said, it's like the meet the party episode. So we start out meeting an old dwarf. Dwarf? Is that what he is? Before I even get started, I'm gonna caveat, I'm not a fantasy person, so I'm gonna call things weird things. And everyone, we're just gonna roll with it. We'll get through it, I promise. I'm not a fantasy person. So I, in my notes, called the kobolds werewolves. So I promise
You
we'll
know
get
what,
through
though?
this.
That makes sense because I literally have a note that says, "Why are these kobolds furry?" Because kobolds in D&D are like scaly.
Yeah, I looked
So-
up a picture of kobolds because I was like, oh, is this how do you spell this? And then I saw a picture and I was like, that's not the same thing.
No, they did a
But yes.
weird thing for this.
Yeah. So I'm just going to caveat it. I'm not a fantasy person. I've played maybe 10 sessions of D&D. I'm sorry, everyone. Don't at me. Don't get in the comments. But yeah, so we start off with meeting an old dwarf. Going on a quest. Oh, jeez. Going on a quest. He's going on a quest in Wisconsin.
Don't you know?
Okay.
That's where his that's where his
Lelia
lost
stuck in
daughter's being
Wisconsin.
held.
We open on some old dwarf who's starting his quest to find some elf lady's daughter named Lelia, but we learn that she's missing. Oh no! So Gim has to go on this really epic quest to go find her, which I made fair.
She has a cool dragon too. Just randomly in the church, she has that giant dragon.
Yeah, just
named
because why
Brampt.
not? Brampt.
Fuck it.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever
I
see
would
him
say
again,
that's
but he's
like
there.
That's like an average dragon name. I wouldn't say it's like an epic one, but it's a name for a dragon.
Sure.
It's not the big bad dragon. It's like the big bad's like weird cousin.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we move on into this like delightful little forest scene where there's like just a woman bathing in a spring, so you think everything's gonna be fine. But oh no, everything's shot from a monster POV and everything's red. So clearly something bad's gonna happen. And this is where she gets attacked by a goblin, which, you know, is it a goblin? It's a goblin, right? They're goblins.
Yeah, it's a goblin. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm just so self-conscious that I'm
Look,
going
I'll
to
call you out if
upset
you're
nerds
wrong.
out there. Okay.
I'll call you out
Great.
if you're
I
wrong.
appreciate it. Perfect. But yeah, so she gets attacked and she's like, oh no, I'm going to run naked through the woods. Which is fair. If you're getting attacked, you're not putting clothes on.
She put on clothes.
Did she? I thought she was just carrying her clothes.
No, she was. And then the next scene, she's fully dressed.
Oh, continuity.
I literally have a note being like, how did this girl get fully dressed while running away from goblins? Well, her skin is wet too. You ever tried putting clothes on wet skin? It's not pleasant.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to put leggings on after getting out of a shower? It ain't
No.
happening. You're blowing the crotch out of it.
So technically she does get dressed.
So, you know, thank goodness. It's like any sort of superhero thing where you're like, how did you put on this costume? Anyways, we're going to get sidetracked if we start talking about Batman. Because I will talk for hours.
Push on through the forest.
Yes. So this damsel in distress running through the forest. And we meet our protagonist, Parn.
Porn with an A, as you said.
Yeah. Porn with an A. I kept calling him Parm, like chicken parmesan. And then, yeah, I
Fair.
read online that it's Parn. And I was like, oops. He shows up and is like, oh no, I must defend this lady from these goblins that are attacking. So he starts fighting them
But
with
he's
a
really
stick.
shit at it.
He's so shit at it. Oh my gosh. I'd be like, wow, my savior. Thank you. I could have done better on my own. Ugh. Yeah, like these goblins have weapons and he's just like, I'll grab a stick. It's like that Monty Python where it's like, but what if they're coming after you with a pointed stick? Like that's what I thought of. But apparently it's effective because he stabs a goblin and gets grape jelly just all over him. So Parn saves the day with his pointed stick and all the goblins run away. So you think, oh, he did a good thing. He's a good boy. Nope, wrong. Cut to the town.
Bad boy.
Bad boy. And just a bunch of old men are grumpy at him. And they're just like, why would you do that? Like, and they give him shit for saving this woman from a bunch of goblins. And they're like, you're just like your dad, which is, sick burn. Yeah. Oh, and we get to meet one of the graduates of the Stewart Academy of Voice Acting, Edo.
This is the Edo, technically. Edo. This is the one I mentioned in the first half of this episode that I knew you were going to hate.
Oh my gosh, his voice is terrible. It's so bad. Like, oh, I'm so happy that like voice acting has gotten better since this show has aired, but holy crap, whoever did the casting for the English version, give your head a shake. That was awful.
Some of them are great. I love Deedlit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're great. And then they just were like, oh, we ran out of budget. Gary's cousin thinks he might want to get into voice acting. Does he want to do this part? He really loves Mad TV. I don't know. Jeez. And
Edo's healing him up.
Yeah.
He's a cleric.
That's what it was. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say he's the cleric character. And yeah, they're like, he pulls his like holy card to be like, guys, leave them alone. Like, Parm, you're fine. Parn. See, I called him Parm.
It's fine. You've already made people aware. If you keep doing it, it's fine.
Oh my gosh. Edo. His name is now Edo, sure. Edo.
Perfect. So Edo is introduced. We also get introduced to someone else too.
Is it Slay or whatever his name is?
Slain,
bitch. Yes. Toot the house down boots, mama. And he's a sorcerer? Yeah. I think he's warlock? Sorcerer.
He doesn't use a book, so I don't think he's a wizard. I think, he's either a sorcerer. He's not a warlock. I think he's a sorcerer.
I think he's a sorcerer too. Yeah, he's also there. What does he do? Does he do anything in that time? Because all I remember, maybe because of Edo, I just like blacked out and just didn't pay attention to anyone else because I was just like, motherfucker's voice. But Slain doesn't do anything, really. He's just introduced in that part, right? Parn goes to like attack the goblins again. Because the goblins stormed the city.
He started.
Yeah.
And then they storm the city while he's gone. But Slain uses his magic to call to his god, which is what makes me think he's that's more of a warlock thing, though, calling to your patron. He might be a warlock. Anyways, and he calls to it and he gives Parn's sword a bunch of power.
Oh. See, I don't remember that. But I do remember all the goblins attacking the city being like, you killed one of ours, we're going to kill your whole city. Which makes sense, because
Goblin
vengeance.
dinner.
So Parn gives himself up. Parn playing the, martyr. He's not really a martyr. He's like, take me instead. Which I was like, yeah, like your beef is with Parn, not these children. But I guess they are goblins. I don't know. But yeah, so they're like, okay, we'll take you instead. And then just start beating the ever-loving shit out of him. Holy moly. And the animation while they were doing that was like spectacular. It was so smooth.
He gets his fucking ass kicked.
He gets his clock rocked. Like, holy moly. That was an ass kicking.
I mean, he still comes out of it at least alive.
But it's still really funny.
Terrible if he died the first episode.
Right? Be like, well, that was a short series. Does that happen in Dragon Ball Z when you were telling me? Like,
in the first couple episodes, Goku dies, but they still focus on him because he's in the afterlife training.
Oh, okay.
We'll watch that one day.
Yeah, so, and the elders of the city are like, well, we could banish you because you kind of fucking deserve it. Or you can go on a journey and figure out what sort of evil shit's going on. And
which is also a way of just banishing his ass.
Yeah, pretty much. They're like, you'll probably die trying to figure it out because you're an idiot. So go find out what's going on. And, then we won't banish you. Hopefully you'll just die.
This scene bothered the shit out of me because he burns his house down. And I get that's like a ceremonial thing. But also, that's a good fucking house someone could have moved into.
Right? You can tell that we're living in a housing crisis because we're like, someone could have lived there. Come on, guys.
You go to the poorest person in town and say, hey, do you want this nice house that my father built?
Mm-hmm.
I can't come to town anymore. It's yours. But no, he burns the little fucker down.
What a piece of shit. See, I don't like porn. But yeah, so there's the first episode for you.
You miss the part where he goes off on his own, and this is where the party fully comes together. Because Edo's waiting for him in the forest to be like, of course I'll join you. And as that's happening, the other two, Slain and Gim, walk up, who need to switch names. They need to switch names.
Oh, yeah.
They walk up and they're like, I guess we're joining on this too. And honestly, that's a perfect first session D&D campaign. You got your character intros, you got your backstory, you got your quick little, everyone gets a combat in, and then the group comes together. I fucking live for that shit.
Do we meet Deedlit at the end?
Deedlit is in the trees looking down on them.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we haven't officially met her yet.
Yeah, we meet her in the second episode, or the third.
Yeah.
The third. Yeah. Yeah, then we go, so then we go into the third episode, which is called The Black Knight. And do you want to know what my first two notes are for this episode?
Uh-huh.
So point one is, ooh, dragon.
Yes.
Second point, holy muscle daddy.
Oh, you're talking about Beld, the ginger guy?
Yeah, holy shit, he is jacked. even his armor, head muscles, like that guy snorts creatine.
The manga images of him, he's rippling.
He's a shit brick house.
Yeah, but was he hot though?
No. Okay. Was the person that you thought that I was think is hot, is it Ashram?
Yes.
Called it, because I was like, ooh, he's hot. And then I was like, damn it.
I fucking knew it. He gives off vampy vibes.
He does give off vampy vibes, and I was like,
I knew you weren't gonna think Geld was hot, but I abso-fucking-lutely knew that you were gonna think that Ashram was hot.
Oh, sorry. My third bullet point for this episode is so many hot baddies.
Yeah, because we get introduced to Carla in the same fucking thing.
Yeah, they're just like, I was like, yeah, you can absolutely, like, I would absolutely serve you. Like, what do you want? Like, you want my kingdom? Sure, come, it's yours. Like, can I touch your hair?
Yeah, Carla's like this hot, badass witch.
She's so hot. She's who I wish I was.
She's the opposite of Pyretess, where she has this like milky skin, like her clothing, but all of her armor is this deep purple, paired with
so
also gold.
good.
It's this stunning armor, and she's got these long, sharp nails. Oh, I love Carla so much.
Oh my gosh. She could cut a bitch, and I would say thank you. Those are my thoughts.
We meet them. Carla, here's my note for Carla. Carla looks like she'd be an awesome Sailor Moon villain.
Oh, yeah. I thought that too. She thought it made me think of like, oh gosh, the energy big baddie from Sailor Moon. That's who she made me think of. Yeah.
The primary
those,
lady.
like, deep, the deep purples and stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly who I thought of. And I was like, this is absolutely a Sailor Moon villain.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and they're all meeting in this.
Yeah, what were they talking about? Because I did not pay attention. I was just like, hard eyes.
Basically, they're talking about like invading and taking over this city and this castle, essentially.
Okay.
Because they are going to steal the daughter of the king there.
Oh, yeah.
And then we cut to Parn being trained by Gim.
Yeah, and they're sword fighting, and Gim says like the most savage line of, the boy couldn't kill time if he wanted to. Which I was like, oh, that is perfection. That is amazing.
I have a list of bard insults that I come up with every now and again. I absolutely threw that on the list.
Oh, yeah. It's incredible. Yeah. You got to add that to your Rolodex.
Like, talk about being lazy.
I know.
You can't even do lazy right.
Yeah. Well, and then after this, Parn pisses off Deedlit. We find out. Because he's like smacking a tree with his sword. And she's like, excuse me.
And we get like a cute little moment. It's our first introduction to my elf crush, Deedlit.
Yep.
She's like, hey, bro, every single living thing has spirits inside of it. And she like floats these little spirits out of this tree. And Parn's like, oh shit, I didn't know. And to be honest with you, if you took me right now to a forest and was like, look at these literal living spirits in this tree, I would feel so bad for using anything ever again that was living.
I know.
Moving on through episode 2.
Yep, they get attacked.
/4.
They get attacked by furry werewolves, or furry kobolds that I thought were werewolves, which didn't make sense because it was during the day. Yeah, and like Deedlit just cleans up She just kicks ass. Whereas Parn is there.
Parn, Parns.
Yep. And there's like a dark elf that shows up. And he's like, I'll go attack this one. And Deedlet's like, yeah, I don't think you can handle that one. So I'm gonna take this. Which was hilarious. And then she's like, go fight a kobold instead.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't think you'd find
that's more
him
your
hot.
style. A kobold?
No, not the I wasn't sitting there like, I wonder if she's gonna find these furry little beasts hot. No, the dark elf.
Oh yeah, I was like, he's there.
Yeah,
he's badass,
he's not,
whatever.
He's not hot.
Yeah, he's not one of the hot baddies. Ugh. Yep, so they're fighting, and then all of a sudden, who's that? It's a bunch of knights? Cavalry? And they just show up and they like don't ask questions. They're just like, you guys go to jail. Because the law.
Yeah, like I love that. They're like, hey, we just solved your kobold problem and we're not expecting payment. And the guards are like, payment is imprisonment.
Exactly. They're like, oh, thanks so much. We're going to put you in jail now. It's like, you're welcome? What?
Which,
oh my gosh.
I was annoyed by that because I was like, all right, I get it. They're the laws of the land. You can't be here. But they solved a problem. But anyway, that's for another whole thing.
Yeah.
They get thrown in jail, like you said, where we meet a new member of the party.
Yeah, we got to meet Woodchuck, who is a fun little, like, sassy little scavenger, petty criminal kind of person. Would he be like the rogue
of the group? Yeah.
Okay. Look at me knowing shit.
He's the rogue.
Except he did not fail, or he failed his dexterity check because he couldn't get out of that cage.
Yeah, he's not a good rogue, but he's a rogue.
No. Yeah.
No one's good at level 1.
I mean, fine. I almost died in level 1 as a blood hunter because I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it kind of sucks when you're using your own blood for things.
Yeah, it's not really fun.
Now I'm gonna play. So obviously Parn is a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
He uses a sword. We already know that Edo is a cleric. We've decided that.
Slain.
I guess a warlock for Slain. Gim, what would you call him? Would you call him a barbarian?
I thought he would be a barbarian. What would you say he is? It
makes the most sense for a barbarian. I wouldn't call him a fighter. I'd call him a barbarian as well.
Yeah. Because he's got a big multi-class axe.
Yeah, multi-class barbarian fighter. Now we've learned that we've got our rogue, and Deedlit feels more like the sorcerer.
I was going to say druid.
No, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, druid would make sense. Druid's got a lot of good magic. Mm-hmm. So we've got a pretty big and balanced party, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so you've got your fighters, you've got your casters, you've got your all that fun stuff.
Exactly. So yeah, so we've met Woodchuck, the cocky rogue.
Yeah. Oh man, he is something. I mean, I am interested to see how his character develops throughout this show, because they do make him like a cocky little petty thief who, like, I don't know. I'm just interested to see where he goes. So while they're rotting away in jail, guards come down to like check on them, I guess, and to be like, what were you doing? And then Ado shows up with his priestliness and is like, hey. And they're like, oh shit, we imprisoned a priest. We should probably let them out. And so they let them out and invite them to dinner to be like, sorry guys, no hard feelings. And then he's like, come have dinner with me as an apology. And so they do, where they have a lovely time. Eat a good meal. And then, the captain has to go to inspection of his men, where we learn that all of the fighters in his guard are the most violent men, which nothing bad can happen from that. I mean, just a bunch of like uncontrolled masculinity that's super violent. I see nothing wrong with that. No. Nothing wrong will happen. No. So they're doing these inspections, and Captain Jumper goes to Parn and is like, hey, do you want to spar? I just thought it was hilarious because I was like, this little idiot just got his shit kicked and was told that he couldn't even kill time. And you want him to fight one of the most violent men? Cool. He's like, no. Like, you won't fight any of these people. You'll fight me. And I was like, oh, that's even better. You won't fight the like footmen. You'll fight the leader. Cool. Yeah, Parn's gonna be fine as he gets yeeted across the courtyard.
Yeet.
So yeah. And then the captain's like, oh, well, maybe you should stay and train with us. We can make you into a better fighter. I don't know. It was
It's like
just like,
burn.
okay. I know, right? Burn is just there. Yeah. And it's so funny because he feels like the protagonist, or like he'd be the number one on the call sheet and stuff like that. And I'm like, this guy's an idiot. Which I mean, like, he'll just have good, I'm hoping he has good growth throughout the series. Because right now I'm like, I don't know how he's
He's
gonna
going to
survive.
have to. He's supposed to be the hero.
Yeah. And then, yeah, later that night when they're sleeping, Slane's woken up when a guard is exploded
Got the
by
life
dark
sucked out of
magic.
him.
Yeah, that was insane. Like, I was watching it and I was like, what the fuck did I just see? Like, he just like bloats and then becomes these like weird orbs of like flesh and just explodes, becoming a Jackson Pollock painting all over the tower. So shit's about to go down.
Everyone's got their own art style.
Turns out Dark Elf Boy is leading the attack. So Deedlit tells Parn to go fight where at the gates where the monsters are. Oh no. First he goes down to talk to he's talking with Woodchuck or something.
Yeah.
And
And
then
he's like, I'll get you
and
out of here.
then-
Don't worry.
yeah. And he's like, okay, hang on, I'll be right back. And then that's when Deedlit's like, maybe you should go fight at the gates and help hold these things off. And he doesn't listen, and he goes back to Woodchuck. And we find out that the prison has like collapsed, pancaking normal people, but we need Woodchuck for the rest of the series, so he's fine. He's just like
He's got plot
gingerly.
armor, baby.
I've never heard that term before. Plot armor?
You've never heard that term?
No, that's amazing.
Oh, man. Yeah. It's like when like, oh, your father gave you a necklace and you wear it because it's beautiful. And then one day a power word kill spell is cast on you, but because of your necklace, you're okay because we need you for the rest of the show. That's some plot armor. Or if you know that they are needed at some point in the future, or you cannot have this person get killed, that's plot armor. It keeps you alive no matter what happens. Oh, you were stabbed, but you're the main character. So the plot armor is that the stab is a little bit to your side. So yeah, it's a big term in especially in D&D settings.
Wow. Well, that's good. Yeah, so Woodchuck comes out and also starts fighting with them. We see Deedlit going towards the Dark Elf, being a badass. There's some sort of like magic that's cast, and it's like, oh no, Deedlit. Poor Deedlit, she's gonna die. Nope, Captain Jebra just dives right in, basically sacrifices himself to save Deedlit.
A man with a mustache like that usually gives it his all.
By the power of the mustache, I must save this elf. Oh man.
Exactly.
Good job, Captain Jebra. R.I.P. You were one of the good ones. Because yeah, Jebra gets killed by Ashram, Hottie McHot.
Yes, I know you're rooting for the villains here.
I know they should not make the villains so hot. Because I'm just like,
I mean, it's D&D. You always got to make your villains hot.
Oh yeah, I mean Lord Briarwood. Hot damn.
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of
Lady
want you to
Briarwood?
win.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
gosh, like both of them. I'm like, I understand. I would absolutely be a third.
But yeah, so they fight and they kind of win.
Yeah, it's like one of those like, did you?
It's
I don't know.
not everyone died kind of winning.
Yeah. Huzzah, there's still some of us alive.
It's the dying captain tells you that you have to leave and continue your journey and not worry about his people anymore kind of winning.
Great. Love it. Love it
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Which
Oh,
brings us to
man.
our episode 4, but our third episode.
Called The Grey Witch. Starts with our band of merry travelers trying to enter Elan and then being like, no, there's like weird shit going on. So no. They're like, but we're Elanian.
The king's daughter has been captured. No one's allowed in.
Get transported to the inside of the castle with the king's like audience or whatever. I don't know. And he's sending his daughter to like neighboring kingdoms. Shit's going down. Can we like talk some shit over, parlay, have a chin wag, all that fun stuff to figure out what's going on? So she gets sent off, which is like, I'm like, why? But I guess in that day, like, no, would you have nobles traveling to like deliver messages and shit like that?
Well, the whole point of her traveling was to establish an alliance with another kingdom to oppose Beld.
Yeah.
The only problem is that she gets intercepted by Carla and stolen by Beld.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys have a plan B.
And it wasn't invented yet.
Oh my gosh. So while this is all happening, our band of merry travelers has headed out and they come to the forest of no return, which sounds like a great place that they should definitely walk into and like no problems are going to ever happen to them. And yeah, Parn is like, no, we have to go through here. And everybody else is like, no, we should go around because it's dangerous. And he's like, no. So of course, Deedlet's like, fine, we'll go through, but you need to leave your strong emotions behind because the trees will use those against you.
The Forest of No Return is actually like a huge area that's like inhabited by the high elves, such as Deedlit. So this is like her area.
Okay.
Only high elves and fairies can make their way through this forest.
Oh, interesting.
So if Deedlit wasn't with them, they would most certainly have died.
They would have been
there's
fucked.
Well, the funny thing about this is that there's nothing actually evil or dangerous in this forest. The forest has
It's all like illusions.
It is a haven
Hallucinations.
of nature, elves, fairies, and spirits. The only problem is, like you said, the lack of angry emotions means that if you have angry emotions, it will use those against you and fuck your shit up.
Which we find out with Woodchuck being the first one to just not listen. And he's like, sees gold dust. He hallucinates like gold dust on the ground and picks it up. And then the forest is like, now it's time to kill you, which sucks.
You are a greedy little asshole.
We don't want you in our forest. Get out.
Yeah, he gets the gold. Parn gets his father. Gim gets his daughter. No, Gim gets the late girl he's looking for, and Slain gets his daughter. And Deedlet's sitting there like, what the fuck are you assholes doing?
She's like, what did I say? What did I say?
This is the most D&D campaign encounter ever. It's like, roll Constitution to see if you can withstand the effects of the forest. And everyone rolled shit.
Yep. It's the, me and my boys, we're going to fuck you up. I rolled a what? I rolled a what? Fuck.
Exactly.
That's
Thank you, Tom Cardy.
Part.
And like you'd mentioned colors previously, this whole forest has this beautiful ambient glow to it, which is really nice. But it's interrupted by people just continually getting the shit beat out of them.
So they finally make it through the forest. Deedlet saves their dumbasses. And they like coincidentally and serendipitously come upon Carla. And she's like attacking Princess Fania's carriage. And they're like, oh no. And then Gim looks at Carla and is like, oh shit, that's Lelia. We're like, well, that's who he's looking for. And so they start to like have a conflict. And then it's resolved because Carla respects their courage and is like, you know what, guys, I respect that, and gives the princess back.
Yeah, it's a weird
it felt very tame.
We're gonna fight for 5 seconds, and all of a sudden, I think you're really cool and courageous, so I'm gonna give you this lady you're looking for, this princess.
I was like, are you really the baddie? I was like,
it's
wow, she really just like
right?
gave up. I don't know. It doesn't feel earned, I guess. Like they won, but it just feels weird. Like it doesn't really feel like they earned that win.
No, because they're giving the princess back. It doesn't make any sense. And maybe it's like a weird hallucination thing, or like maybe she's like using it to like put them off. I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
Oh, I was going to say, do you think it's like after effect? Oh, well, then never mind then. I'm not going to,
because you don't.
I'm not going to ask you. It's just some weird like fairy magic that's still stuck on them from the forest.
Maybe.
Oh, well, now
or maybe
I'm
it's actually Carla presenting as her as well to try and throw him off. Who knows?
Interesting.
You'll have to figure it out. And that's kind of like, that's basically where the fucking episode ends, other than that dragon calling out to the dragon's name is Narse.
Yep. Hello, Narse.
The dragon's name is Narse. The guy's name is Wagnard. The girl's name is Fianna. It's a bunch of stupid fucking names. Fania, Fianna, whatever.
Oda.
Regardless, it's a dumb name.
I don't know.
And he like gets called out to this dragon that's like giving him powers.
I was like, where the fuck did this dragon come from?
It's chilling underground, bro.
I mean, there has to be dragons.
Yeah, and that's where we end for your journey. Now, is this a series that you would continue the journey on? The last 7 more episodes or whatever, 8 more
There's only
episodes.
7 more episodes? Oh, man.
Total
I
of
don't
13,
know.
baby.
I mean, I definitely would recommend this to people. Be like, "Oh, you like Lord of the Rings," or, "Oh, you like D&D? Here, check this series out, it's kinda cool." I personally am
Are
not a
you
fantasy person, so I don't know if I will
okay?
finish watching it, but
Okay.
I definitely think it's a good series.
If you had to rate it out of 10, what would you rate it?
Good question. I think maybe a 7, just because it's not my personal kind of thing. But I mean, like, if you look at all the technical parts of it, it's very good.
You are pretty much on the money for most people's reviews. This is sitting at a
Oh, really?
7.35 out of 10, with most
Oh,
people
interesting.
commenting on the stunning animation and great music, but lack of coherent and straightforward story. It feels a little
Oh,
bland for them on that side.
okay.
But the animation everyone talks about being really, really amazing.
Mhm.
So you didn't hate it though. So our friendship can continue. So this is good.
Mhm.
Because I did pick a series I quite liked. It'd be different if I picked some random shit that I've enjoyed, but this is something I really, really enjoy. So I'm glad the podcast will continue another week.
Ooh, thank goodness, I was worried.
Now that being said, if you did hate it, I would expect you to roast it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
do expect you
and
to
you'll
roast
know.
things if you hate them.
You'll know.
I'll know. Much like how you'll know the same way for me, but the end result is a 7 out of 10. That's not bad. I will
No.
take a 7 out of 10 on. I was expecting you to be like, it's not that great, maybe a 5. I'll take it.
I can appreciate art that I don't like.
Yeah, and that 7.35 is out of 25,000 reviews. So,
Holy moly.
yeah, so it's a pretty popular show with a lot of people having an average of it's above average rating.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we were able to at least introduce you to some of the original Japanese fantasy animation with Record of Lodoss War. Do you have any closing notes you'd like to get off your chest about the series or anything that maybe annoyed you other than Edo's voice?
Oh my gosh, Edo's voice was so bad. We should just have, like, an award for, like, the Stewart Acting Academy Award,
We'll
and
do
he
that
would
after
win
like
it.
enough episodes where we can like
Yeah.
have a vote.
Yeah. He wins it for this episode or for this series. Yeah. I think, more hot villains. I just want more hot villains all the time.
More hot villains. How much more hot
Mhm.
villainy can you get in this series?
There could always be more.
Actually, I mean, as we mentioned with Pyrotest, there is more coming.
Yes.
So
Well, then good. Maybe I will keep watching it.
just to get to Pyrotest and hear her voice.
Oh, incredible.
I'm not
Ooh, her
usually
voice.
I'm not usually
Now I
a
wanna know
wooer over anime, but Pyrotest is a babe.
I wanna know who voices her.
She doesn't have a lot of voice acting credits. She has Pyrotest and then
Oh,
2 random anime from 1999 and 2000.
cool.
As previously mentioned, the voice actor of Deedlit has a shit ton of stuff on their resume. Parn has an okay amount, nothing too crazy. Plays that Lord Bakumon ghost in Digimon.
Mhm.
Um, but the lady who does Deedlit has a ton of my favorites from back in the day that she does voices on. But the rest of this cast I didn't look too much into because I didn't care enough to.
You're like, "Whatever."
If you would like to help further the quest of defeating the evils in Lodoss, you should head over to our social media accounts, which is pretty much at Animates everywhere. Make sure to follow us on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Hit us with a review, only if you liked the show. Turn on those notifications to get updated when the episodes launch. Episodes are going to be launching, as usual, every Tuesday, with the YouTube version typically coming the following day if that's more your thing. So yeah, check us out. Hit us up. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know what you don't like about the show. But do that on Twitter. Don't do it on reviews. We want to keep that 5-star rating, baby. And we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye. Bye now. Brr, 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 brr.